We are live. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Jean Olivares from Byteflow Dynamics, and today, as every day, we say hello to Andy Shehu. Hello, Andy. How are you?
Hello, Gina. I'm good. I'm good.
You're good.
Looking forward to yeah.
You're looking forward. I hope you enjoyed this one because you always complain that I'm
Oh,
too geeky. What?
okay. No, we're good. Yeah.
Okay, this one I'm gonna try to explain you a little bit, give you a little bit of what can we do with Lagrange AI. It's just a very small part. It's a very simple example, and I don't know. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
So, just 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So maybe I can give like a short intro to Lagrange
Yes.
AI in
You're
general.
welcome. Yeah, of course.
Sure. And yeah. So Lagrange AI, it's for those who don't know Lagrange. He was a very famous mathematician, and we
Yes.
use a lot of his methodologies when we were doing research. And the idea is to optimize a system with constraints.
Exactly.
And which is in real life, you always have constraints. So, for example, you want to improve on customer acquisition, but you have a budget. Like a budget is a constraint,
Yep.
and the other constraints are how many, like your team, like how many people you have in your team. What are the capabilities? So those are the constraints.
Or for
So the idea is
example,
now how
sorry.
to yeah.
For
Mhm.
example, if you pay attention, the picture is Lagrange AI with a US map behind, because we
Yeah.
already discussed this. That is very similar. The problems that we can work with Lagrange AI. It's kind of it's very similar to the elections, to the electoral map and so on, right?
Hmm. Yeah. So Lagrange basically it's when you're optimizing a system, you have your resources that you have to take into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
So anything from managing a portfolio, you have a portfolio for a hedge fund. Maybe you have split them, and in one of the portfolios you might have $100 million, and then but you can only work maybe with like 30 to 50 different kinds of stocks. So that is one of the constraints that you have. So like one of the things that is very similar to this one is like how do you move your resources? How do you spread those funds across these stocks based on their performance?
Exactly.
So as you move forward, so it could be like every month, for example. Very often it could be even real time, but like how do you move from one to the other? And okay, 1 second. Okay, so that's the idea that we took from these other cases that we are working on, and how to apply that for the insurance companies.
Yep.
Insurance companies, they have a lot of similar problems where it could be risk management, where you need to minimize the risk that you are absorbing, but there's also constraints in that you need to take enough risk, because by being an insurance company, you can minimize the risk to zero. You can never do that, but the state requires that you actually do take some risk. So how
Yeah,
do you find
exactly.
that sweet line?
Exactly.
In the case that we are going to give today, it has to do more with marketing. In marketing, in this case, it's the case is that the state of New York is rating.
The
So
MLTC
there's two
plans.
cases. Yeah, so it's rating these insurance companies every 6 months
Uh-huh.
based on performance.
Yep.
So how they are improving in different domains,
Uh-huh.
and then at the end of the year, it gives them a grade.
Yep.
So it's like an ABC. In this case, it's out of 5 stars.
Yes.
And but the thing is that it's not the same as how it works for the restaurant ratings, where the city of New York rates the restaurant and gives you an A if you're very clean, or a B if you need to like improve. Uh, this one, it's relative in that you can only have, like, you need some kind of like a bell shaped curve.
Yeah, it's a distribution, yes. It's a
It's a
statistical. Yep.
distribution. So you can only give, for example, like 20% of your cases needs to be from like 20% can be 5 stars, and then the rest can be like 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, and so on.
So for everybody out there, this is we are showing now the slide. This is the official data, the rating that the state uses, that the things that we are talking about right now, and you can see a lot of stars all over the place. So please continue, Andy. I just wanted to show everybody how the state reports these ratings.
Yes. So let me see which one you're showing.
The
Yeah.
web
So
page of the
at the end of
state.
the
Yep.
yeah, so at the end of the year, then you get a rating. So you get something out of 5 star.
Yep.
So this happens for a few things. So this is just one of the cases. This is for the star ratings. The other case that we are going to go through tomorrow, it's for the quality incentives.
Yeah.
And the idea is the same in that how you are improving over the year relative to the other plans, the state is rewarding you.
Yep.
Based on like if you're on like the top tier, middle tier, well, if you're on the bottom, you don't get anything. But if you're on if you're on the top tier, means that you've been improving very well, and the state, based on the size of your plan, it rewards you.
Yep.
And it's actually significantly, it's a lot of money actually. Now, of course, like every plan is looking to improve, but how do you improve in such a way that so that all of your so you want to go from, if you're a 3 or 4 star, you want to become a 5 star. If you are a tier 1, you want to go into tier
2 and so on.
2 and 3.
Yep.
So how to do this, but how to do it in a smart way?
Yeah, I mean, because the answer is simple: is you have to improve everywhere, right? But sometimes the plans, the companies, they don't have enough resources to spread everywhere, right?
Yes.
So they have to be focused where in the domains or the measures that they can improve faster, considering the constraint, as you said, of the resources or the money that they can put on those. So basically, we can help them with that, right?
Yeah. So you want to improve, and then you have to decide that, okay, like for the next year, this is your budget and these are your resources, and you want to, like, you have some goals that you want to improve by. But the thing is that this is very dynamic in that you can have internal goals, and you can say that in every domain we want to improve by 2%, for example. And you can look at certain trends, so you can look historically, and then you can say that if I improve by 2%, I will probably move into a tier 3, or I will probably move into a 5 star.
Yeah.
What often happens is that you probably did that and you find out that you actually don't achieve those results because of how the mapping, how the calculation is being delivered. So understanding the calculations is very, very important, so that you know actually to set more realistic goals and then to better distribute those resources.
Yeah, in this case, for example, I'm going to show a very simple example. We're going to consider GillNet. That is one of the plans that they closed doors at the beginning of this year. Okay.
Yeah, I think they were acquired.
Yeah. So one of the things that we can discover, we're going to do it in a very simple way. I'm going to show you in the next slides. But there are two examples that, for example, you can say, oh, if I improve 1%, then I'm done. I reach the next tier and I'm happy and I get 4 stars or 5 stars. And if I improve just 1%, or in the raw result, as we call it, the results that initially the state uses to do all these calculations and these ratings, but sometimes it's not enough. Why? Because it depends, depending on the domain, it depends on the number of members that you have enrolled in this specific domain, for example. So it's not that easy. And one of the cases that I show here is that probably in one of the domains, if they improve just 1%, it's enough to get the next bracket. But in the other domain, it wasn't enough, and they have to go further, like two points above the original amount that they got. So this is a very few examples. Also, we are considering domains that only contain one measure. Of course, when the domains have more measures involved, that if people who is not very familiar with the things that we are talking about, we already have blog posts and other videos talking about the difference between a measure and a domain, and I can post the link later. So if you are interested in knowing a little bit more, in that case, it's even harder because then you have to improve not just one measure, probably more measures inside in the case that you want to improve in that specific domain. Those things, we analyze them and we give our clients what they should do, which domains they should attack, right? And of course, discussing with them, probably they are not ready to give all the they don't have all the resources to put in all the domains that we tell them, but we give them also what is the most convenient and fast path to follow to increase these ratings, for example, in this case, right?
Yeah. So yeah. So again, so like this is for those who are not from this domain. Like you probably you can follow along to get an idea of how to use data science in very simple terms.
Yeah.
To like there's two things in here. Like there's things that calculations that we do in the background in the back end that may not help you the case, but like when you make it simple, you have some nice data visualization, you can
Yeah.
show trends and very clearly, because eventually you want people to implement what you are showing them.
And not everybody is necessarily familiar with the calculation, right?
But yeah, but I mean,
But you
it
need
doesn't
the
have to,
results.
in this case, but the same concept, this one, we're showing this one because the data is public, but the same concept. So if someone has a similar problem, say for managing a portfolio, and the portfolio is very dynamic, how do you go from dynamically basically adjusting how you are splitting your resources, where you are investing?
Yeah, and in the
As like certain stocks go up, some of them have more momentum. Like how do you do that dynamically?
yeah, and in the case of marketing, for example, I remember some of the MLTC plans that we check, right? This slide that I'm showing you, this is the last MLTC guide that is published in the MLTC official webpage of the state. And when the results came out, I believe it was on March 2019. A lot of one of the main things that we saw scraping the internet is those plans that got a 5, they were promoting it like really, really heavy, right? They promote that they got a 5 in the MLTC star rating. So that's why we believe that this is really important, because as you will see, not a lot of the plans reach the overall 5. So if you want me, I can begin.
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, for example, in this slide, this is, as I told you, this is the official data that the state publishes. We can see in the right-hand side, the first left hand side, sorry, you can see all the names of the plans that participate in the MLTC Consumer Guide, okay? The columns, you have prevention, patient safety, advanced directives, and so on. Those are the domains. And you can see every column has a different number of stars. Remember that every domain can have at least 1 star. This is the minimum. And at most 5 stars. Okay? And the last column is the overall rating. Right? Everything is clear so far. Why is important new plan? Actually the state guides them to see all these kind of ratings in order to choose the right plan. So far we have a lot of stars. Remember, the minimum is 1, the maximum is 5. We have 12 domains, if you can see it. So in the overall is not just the sum or anything. You have to do a calculation, a specific statistical calculation to get the overall rating. Okay. So any questions, Andy?
Now you can start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about the case of GillNet. As I told you, they close doors, right? So they don't appear officially in this MLTC guide, but we have the information because it's publicly available. So the total of stars of GillNet, they obtain 42 stars in total. That means spreading the stars in all the 12 domains, okay? And at the end, they got an overall of 4 stars. Okay, this is public. This is what happened with GillNet. So far, so good. Any questions? So, but what is the problem? The problem is the following. Of course, GillNet would have wanted, or any other plan, for example, would have wanted to get the 5, right? But what happened with GillNet? We can see, unfortunately, we cannot see it very well, but let's say in the x-axis, you have the total number of stars, right? And the different colors. Every dot is a plan, okay? And the different colors, it's the overall rating. For example, these plans, the plans on the left, the pink ones, are overall 1 star. Then the second is the 2 stars. Then the green ones are 3 stars. The green bluish are 4 stars, and the blue dots are 5 stars overall. Okay?
Okay. What is the black line? Does the black line mean anything?
The black line is just the average. It's just the average. It was for me to get information. That's it. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Go.
1 second. Okay, yeah. Can you go back to the previous slides?
Yeah. This one.
What
happened?
Yeah, so in this case, basically the idea that what we want to go about kind of like reverse engineering in this case is that for the last cycle when the data is published and the results are published, so for these cases when you have GillNet that receives a 4-star, the idea is now to analyze the full data sets and to find the least resistive path. So like what could have been done for this firm to have gotten to go from like a 4 to a 5, right?
Overall,
so so kind of like going back into like, okay, like this is your results, and the diagnostic phase is kind of like going back to see where you could have done much better, but more about like finding the easy one, meaning that because the calculations are not straightforward, but like when you do the mapping, when you do the processing of the data, the cutoff lines that Gina is showing now are like how close you are to those lines.
Stars of 42, and they have the overall of 4 stars. They are on the line.
Yeah, so in this case,
that is the
being
threshold.
on borderline, so it means that they were very close to being a 5-star. So meaning that any just like improving in any one of the domains.
By 1
how many
star.
domains are there?
Yeah.
How many domains do we have? 12 or 9?
12.
12. So by improving in any of one of the 12 domains, they could have very easily moved into the next level.
Yes, because this is the threshold line for the overall 4 stars is 42. With 43, you have reached 5 stars overall.
Yeah.
43, just 1 star.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the idea behind going deep into the calculations and then going into like analyzing the historical data to see that based on trends, how easily you could have moved from one level to the other. Because sometimes like when you know that you can almost make it, then you can push your teams a little bit more.
Yeah, and for example, here this example that we are showing, for example, we are not considering historical data in the sense of what we can do also is not only tell you, oh, you have to improve 2 or 3 points, right, in order to make the jump. We can tell you, based on the historical data, is like this measure or this domain for you, it hasn't been easy to improve because look the historical data. Or look, this domain is easier for you because you keep improving. You know what I mean? But for the purposes of this example, we are not considering that, but we can do that. You keep in mind that, okay? So the important thing in this slide is GillNet is in the threshold line. They miss 1 star in one of the domains, okay? If they have gotten 43 stars, they would have an overall of 5 stars, but they got a 4. So what happens? Then we go to see where did they lose the stars. So of course we see GillNet, here are the stars per domain, okay, that they obtain every column. We have domain 1, domain 2, and so on. So for example, if we consider the red arrows, right? In domain 2, they got a 3 star instead of a 5. Domain 3, they got a 2 instead of a 5, and so on. So if we consider only the red arrows, they lost 14 stars there. Okay? And if it happens the same with the blue ones, they lost 4 stars. Okay? So in total, they lost 18 stars in all the domains. What do I mean by lost? They didn't get the 5. Right. Discover why did they lose so many stars? Or hire us, because we already know. Okay? So first, let's see one of, I'm considering 3 domains, okay? Let's see domain 1. Domain 1, let's just for purposes of, they got 4 stars, okay? In domain 1. This is why they got the 4 stars. After processing the raw data, here we have GillNet, okay? The domain score, that is the processed data. Is that okay, Andy? Okay. After processing the data, the raw results that the state publishes, they obtain a 1.61. If you see, they are really far away because the blue line is the next jump for the next start, okay? For the 5 start in that domain. But they are really far away. They have to jump from 1.61 to a 4.52 to get the next star. So this one is kind of difficult, right? It looks difficult because of the difference. But now let's see what happens with other domain. Domain number 2, okay? In domain number 2, they got, if I remember correctly, 3 stars. Yeah, 3 stars. We can see it here, right? Do you see it? Do you see it?
Let me see. Okay.
They are really close to the next bracket, right? In domain 2, they got a 3, but they are really close to the right, to the next line. They are closer, right, than the previous domain to get, instead of 3, 4 stars. And with that one, they would have gotten the 43 stars they need in total and to get the 5. This one is easy. Why? Because the difference is really small in the domain score. It's from 1.15 to a 1.43. Okay? So let's see what happens. Now we do, they got the 1.15. If they have gotten 98 in the raw result, before we process the data, we do all these calculations. Instead of a 96, they would have jumped to the 4 star. Okay? What I'm telling you, okay?
Yeah.
It's 2 points. What is important here to discover? In this case, it's not just simply, oh, improve. No, you have to analyze one thing. The 96 that they obtain, it is exactly the same result that the statewide rate. So that's why they had to do, they would have to do a better job, right? Because they got exactly what the statewide rate was. So with that thing, they would have jumped to the 4-star. They would have gotten in total 43 stars, and the overall would have been 5 stars. That is just a simple case. So let's see what happens with other example. Let's go to domain 12. In domain 12, they obtain 4 stars. Okay? If you see, they are here. They are really close to the blue line, to the 5-star in that domain. In domain 12, they got 4. They are really close to the line, to the threshold line to get 5 stars. So the domain score in that case was 4.15. And the threshold that they have to reach should be 5.32 to get the 5-star. Okay? It doesn't move, sorry. Here it is. So now what happens? The domain score, it was 5.93. The threshold, if they have gotten 83 instead of 82 in that measure, they would have gotten past the threshold line by 0.61. They have gotten the 5-star in that domain, the 43 in total, and the overall a 5. So what if you see
that? This is very nice.
This is very nice, and one of the things that it is positive here, and one of the variables that I'm gonna tell you, for example, what happened in the previous domain. They were really close to exactly the same than the statewide rate, right? Here, they were over the statewide rate. In this case, the statewide rate was 80, and they got 83. So jumping
by 1 point.
By just 1 point, it was enough.
1 out of 100 points, basically.
Just 1 point. In the previous one, it was harder. They needed 2 points at least because they were closer to the statewide rate. So these are the things that we analyze.
So this is actually very nice. It's very actionable in that you can decide where. So analyzing the results and the previous data. The report basically gives you an idea of, so kind of like giving you those threshold, those cutoff lines, and by how much you need to improve for each domain, and then you can decide like where do you want to put your resources in.
Yeah, of course. For example, let's say we give you the list of the domains.
So like in this case, and
you decide if you have more capabilities, right, to improve the 2 in domain 2, or just 1 point in domain 12. Because it depends on the resources of every plan, of course. But we give you all this information. How much do you need? How much translated to the raw result that everybody knows and is familiar with? You have to do. Also, we have to consider the denominator. For example, here, the denominator is static. Then, what I mean by the denominator is the number of members participating in this specific domain. But here is static, but also we can see, of course, maybe you don't need to improve 2 points, but if you increase enough the denominator in this domain, maybe you're good to go. Or maybe you need to increase the denominator a lot, so maybe you have to focus on improving the result, not the denominator, and things like that. So that is kind of the analysis that we do. For example, this is the data that is already published. It was published on March 2018, as I told you before, but we already have predictions using the data from July, December 2018. And we are just waiting for the state to release the new data. The new data that is going to be released during this period of time on December is the one that is used for the MLTC Consumer Guide that is going to be published on March 2020. So as soon as the state publishes, we already have the predictions for everybody, for every plan, and we can do this analysis for you. Or even better, if you want to know a little bit ahead of time, for example, what would have happened if the state uses the data from July, December 2018, we already have that information too,
Mhm.
and this kind of coding lines, and we can do the same analysis with all the data that we have. And I really encourage,
Cool.
yeah, I know it is really cool. I love this. This is my project. This is just a
Cool.
slide to give you all the advantages and all the things that we can do for you. For example, the number of one of the things that I've been thinking about. Of course, maybe we have to be closer to our client, but for example, what happens if you improve? If you are not a 5-star rating plan, right? What happens if you improve to the 5? What happens with your enrollment? How much is going to grow, for example? How much? What does that mean in the sense of money for you with new enrollment? If you publish, for example, that you are becoming a 5, or that you're going to be a 5, right? All that kind of
Mhm.
things, we can give the advisory, or we can do all the calculations for them. The predictions, we already have it, as I told you. You have to be careful because there are a lot of things behind these calculations. Like, for example, there are some plans that they have NAs in some of the domains, so we have to take into account those things in order to give you a very good prediction and a very good analysis of the domain. And I don't know if you have more questions, Andy. This is Lagrange
Um,
AI.
yeah, yeah. No, I think this is actually very good. So it makes it very clear on in that we can get out of the way and kind of like let you
Exactly.
decide like where to put your resources,
Exactly.
and updating the algorithm. It could be just once. It could be like now that the season and the new data
Yeah.
comes in, but also on ongoing basis, on a monthly basis, because things change. A lot of some of the data that is published, things like the number of
Yep.
members per plan, the number of plans also affects where you fall in that. If certain plans drop out or new plans come in, or there's
Exactly.
consolidations, that's also going to affect the simulations.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it could be like on a monthly basis, where it's like just giving you even just like an hour or two of advisory and walking you through this process.
Yeah, and for example, I think it's really important for the plans out there and for everybody involved in the MLTC star rating and even the quality incentives. One of the things that you have to take into account is that the state, some of the measures and the domains that they consider for both, for the star rating and for the quality incentives, it's updated every 6 months. They consider two measurement periods during the year, that is January, June of let's say 2018, and July, December 2018. So, for example, in this
Mm-hmm.
case, for the MLTC Consumer Guide on March 2020, they are going to be using which information? January, June 2019. Okay? So
Okay.
we are just waiting for them to publish it and to have all the information. And just one more thing that I want to advertise out there: our limited time offer, the free advisory call. It doesn't go up.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't want to. But okay, yeah. So it is our limited time offer. It's an advisory call. We promoted yesterday, and we start our campaign on social media. You only have to sign up a form, and we will call you. Which kind of advisory can we give for this? It's fine. It's fine. You can call us if you want to know more about Lagrange and MLTC programs or MLTC
Can you
plans.
scroll a little bit for the contact information?
Yeah, I'm trying, but for some reason it
No.
doesn't
Okay.
want to. Yeah,
Okay. You can just give the links
yeah,
though.
yeah. I'm giving the links.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but also the advisory in any other domain, marketing, hedge funds, and even if you are just wondering what can AI and data science can do for you, you can contact us. We're going to be posting this limited offer in our social media. And or if you don't find us for some reason, you can contact me directly. My email is olivares@byflows.com, and we can give you the free advisory call for the Christmas season. It's our present from us to everybody out there. And I think we're done, Andy. I don't know
Yep.
if you want to add something else.
No, that was good. I think so. There is a blog post related to
Yeah,
this
in
one.
our blog section in
Yes,
our
and
webpage.
the slides, we can also publish the slides on LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you
Bye.
so much, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.